Good morning. What a pleasure to return to Bozeman and to this congregation. In a UU World article from 2019, our UU president, Susan Frederick Gray, writes, "When my son was just 2 years old, I found him bringing all his stuffed animals into the shower. When I asked what he was up to, he answered, 'It's shower church.' I smiled and asked, 'Oh yeah? What's happening at shower church?' He told me he would be preaching. When I asked what he was preaching about, he answered simply, 'Love, Mommy. It's always love.'" Susan Frederick Gray's son, he of the shower church, knows that he is growing up in a household of love. I was lucky to do so as well, though with a couple of devout Lutherans rather than a UU minister. My parents, Billy and Milt, had their faults, of course, but they managed to make it clear to their 4 children that we were loved unconditionally. They told us so. They used the words, "I love you," but they also hugged us and they held us and made their love clear through their actions, their acceptance and support of us, the time they spent with us, the interest they took in every part of our lives. One of my wonderful memories as a child is the family singing together. We sang on car trips, and we sang around the piano as my mother played, and she and my father traded off singing harmony parts. My dad could read notes and had a lovely tenor voice, but he couldn't concentrate on one thing or two things at a time. So he would either sing a harmony part or the words, but not both, usually. I'd like to share one of my favorites of those songs with you. "Side by Side" was written by Harry Woods in 1927, the year my father was born. Woods also wrote, "I'm looking over a 4-leaf clover, and when the red robin comes bob, bob, bobbing along," which were part of our hit parade, and others. Both the text of this song and its context in my life represent unconditional love to me.
I was lucky to grow up in a similarly loving family, though the Pelto's lives operated a bit more in parallel, not like a Rockwellian gathering around a piano. My parents seemed to follow a parenting style that Katharine Hepburn described as simply making home an irresistible force. But love isn't always easy, of course. Brené Brown, in The Gifts of Imperfection, writes, "To love someone fiercely, to believe in something with your whole heart, to celebrate a fleeting moment in time, to fully engage in a life that doesn't come with guarantees. These are risks that involve vulnerability and often pain. But I'm learning," she says, "that recognizing and leaning into the discomfort of vulnerability teaches us how to live with joy, gratitude, and grace." Brené Brown. The Christian Bible states that there is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear. Martin Luther King Jr. noted that such perfect love is not soft, anemic, and sentimental. Such love confronts evil without flinching. Angst-ridden romantic poets, however, present a different take, especially when fear simply gets in the way of love. As an example, we'd now like to share a song that tells the story of two people who loved deeply, but were crippled by fear and couldn't commit. This is a piece by Clara Schumann, written in 1842 on a text by Heinrich Heine. The song is in German, and the translation is as follows: "They loved each other, but neither would admit it to the other. They looked at each other with hostility, yet wanted to die for love. Eventually they parted and saw each other only sometimes in dreams. They had died long ago and barely knew it themselves."
A recent opinion piece in the New York Times was entitled, "What I Know About Married Bliss, I Learned from My Husband's Twin." The author, Michael Leibowitz, speaks of her early disdain for couples who speak in we terms. Quote, "We liked this, we did this," etc. I shared that once upon a time. Because she felt that it didn't recognize the individual identities of the partners. Leibowitz's husband, however, is an identical twin. She writes, My husband learned early how to nurture not only a sense of individuality, but also a sense of joint identity and of a shared future. He understands in a deep way that to love someone for better and worse, for all of your days, involves a certain kind of surrendering of the I for the sake of the we. Leibowitz refers to psychologist Scott Stanley, quote, who defines we-ness as a relationship in which two people have a deep connection that bolsters a sense of shared identity. The relationship is no longer, quote, an exchange market where two individuals were competitors, he writes, but a non-competitive relationship that could maximize joint outcomes. The point of life is no longer just to fulfill yourself. You're seeking something for the team. I can relate to that. Team Larto, that's us, is having some amazing adventures this year. Larto is our tongue-slightly-in-cheek family name that combines Larson and Pelto, Larto. So in this, our first full year of retirement, we have so far been skiing 23 days. 3 or 4 times the number of days I have skied in any year in my life since I started skiing at the age of 39. And we have plans for another 6 to 8 days yet this season. Bill loves to ski. It's one of his greatest joys. I find skiing sometimes thrilling, sometimes exhilarating, almost always scary, very often a struggle. But committing our time this way is not a sacrifice for me. His joy is shared with me and has fostered my own. Team Larto is having a blast skiing. When I'm dealing with fear or tension while skiing, which is often, one of my best solutions is to sing. Out loud, yes, on the slopes while I'm connecting my turns, or not occasionally. And my top choice to sing, both because of the text and because of the rhythm of it, is Can't Help Lovin' That Man. It's by Jerome Kern and Oscar Hammerstein, and it was written for the musical Showboat in 1927.
Oh, listen, sister.
we-ness is not just for partnerships, but is essential for a faith community as well. The Reverend Jim Rigby from the Presbyterian Church in Austin, where Linda had her first choir conducting job, he's a radical. And he writes what he calls thimble sermons on Facebook almost daily. Here are some excerpts of his post entitled, "What Would a Religion of Radical and Universal Love Look Like?" He says, "The word love refers to a consensual, egalitarian relationship. To force my idea of God on another person is not love, but religious abuse. A religion of love would focus on loving real people in the real world. A religion rooted in love would never use fear of hell or of an angry God as an excuse to treat others with cruelty. Such a religion would stop teaching ethics as obedience to authority and would call people to personal and collective responsibility over and against hierarchies of oppression. A religion that was radical about love would scrupulously test its beliefs to make sure they are grounded in reality. As Voltaire supposedly said, those who have the power to make you believe absurdities also have the power to make you commit atrocities." Rigby continues with lots of such statements like, "The word universal means including everyone. A religion that considers itself the only way cannot be universal. A universal religion has shattered the boundaries of nation, class, and sect. It lives in the whole of humankind and within the entire web of life. A universal religion would never ignore bullying in the name of religious unity. True unity is born of justice for all people, not of a consensus between the powerful. A universal religion would completely purge its language of sexism, racism, and classism. A religion of radical and universal love would renounce any claim of superiority over others. It would see itself as servant of all, but master of none."
I always thought he was a UU, actually. He just didn't know it. Returning to our UU president, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. "Love is a core foundation of my religious understanding, but it is not a love that is simply an emotion, a feeling, or an expression of the bonds of loyalty felt within a group. In personal relationships, when we love someone, we wish for them the fullest unfolding and development of who they are. We wish for them freedom, safety, joy, and life. Love as a religious practice extends our compassion, solidarity, and care beyond the personal to seeking the liberation and wholeness of every person. It reminds us of our fundamental interdependence with all of life. It is this understanding of love that formed one of the most precious gifts Unitarian Universalism has given me, the gift of a religion that teaches that the work of justice is inseparable from a faith rooted in love." John Lennon wrote, "All you need is love." I love the song, but I've always had a little trouble with the sentiment. Love can't stand in a vacuum. Love demands action. However, if love calls on us to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to look for justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, to accept one another and encourage spiritual growth in our congregations, to foster a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, to energize the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process, to work for a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, to illuminate our respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community, dismantling racism and other oppression. In short, if love requires us and enables us to live a principle-driven life, then maybe love is all we need. We'd like to close our presentation with one more song, this time with help from our assembled choir. And I hope from you. The composer Abby Bettinas writes about the piece, which is called Love is Love is Love is Love. This song is dedicated to the victims and survivors of hate crimes everywhere, and specifically for those at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando on June 12, 2016. Love is often the bravest thing we do. May love prevail. The piece was published as part of the Justice Choir Songbook under a Creative Commons copyright, which is why we have it available. It's really available for non-commercial use. Bill and I have made a contribution to the Justice Choir at justicechoir.org in gratitude for our use of this piece this morning. If any of you are interested in doing so as well, I invite you to look around at their website, justicechoir.org. And now I'm going to invite the choir to come up and join me. Now, you did hear me right that I said they're going to help me and with your participation, if at all possible. So this song has a mantra in it, a repeated section. It's a little bit like meditation on breathing that we did earlier. And this mantra has the words, all we need is love. Love, 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 all we need is love. And we're going to sing through it a couple of times. And we're hoping that you'll pick up on it and sing it with us. So we're just going to do that right now. Love, 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 all we need is 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 love, love, love. Right? You kind of get how that goes, right? Okay. Good. That. I know I should use this so that people on Zoom can hear me as well. So that is going to happen. We're going to start by singing that. And then the choir is going to go into a bit of a round. You can keep singing that part that we just did over and over and over as many times, as many times as you like until we sort of come to an end. You'll figure it out, and if you don't, then you'll do a solo. And that'll be fine too, because we're all in favor of that. So let's give it a shot. And I just want to remind you again that it's more fun to sing when you take a deep breath and when you smile. Okay.
Love
Thank you to the choir.